So my relationship with my Ukrainian host grandfather had always been difficult, but it didn't get genuinely weird until both of us were completely naked. From the moment we had met a month earlier, I knew pretty well that he didn't like me. I had left America just because I wanted to be anywhere else. And I was going to be living in Kazakhstan, where for the first 3 months I would be living alone with a 31-year-old Ukrainian woman named Tanya. And despite the fact that she was only 7 years older than me, and people tend not to believe this, I really did think of her as a mother figure, and she thought of me as a son. I was wondering if anyone was going to laugh. I was like, bullshit. No, but it was. And every couple weekends, we would run away from her city apartment, and we'd go out and see her parents out in the village. And her mother was this big freight train of a Russian-Ukrainian woman, you know, who would grab you and suffocate you in her bosom or drown you in her cleavage sweat, kind of just holding you there tight. And she took me in immediately as kin. But her father was Dядя Boris, Grandpa Boris. And he was a man who could only communicate in grunts and mumbles, and he was the spitting image in size, weight, color, texture, and character of like a sack of potatoes. But he did have the presence of someone who had been much stronger and bigger when he was younger, but had just been beaten down by a hard Soviet life into this shriveled, leathery Shar-Pei of a man. So I remember the first time we went over to that house, and I was being fun and going over to play with a family dog by call, and I just hear this voice say, "Stay away from my dog. He is capricious." Proving that Dядя Boris can make any word sound mean. So Dядя Boris, he would tell me to go out in the garden and just dig up some potatoes for me. So I'd go back in the garden, and then he'd get all pissed off because the garden would look like some cocaine-addled gopher had dug his way around there. Because I'm sorry, I don't know what the leaves look like of root vegetables, so I might go through the carrots and the beets before I can actually find the damn potatoes. And then we would sit and we would peel potatoes for a seeming eternity like we were on KP duty. And he would pour shots of vodka about every 10 minutes, and we'd chase him with a garlic clove. And he would complain about the way I peeled potatoes. He would complain about the way I threw up after 6 shots of vodka. And he would say to me, "You work in the garden like a little girl. You peel potatoes like a little girl. And you drink vodka like a little girl." Which gives me some insight into Tanya's childhood. So one time when we're hanging out, and Tanya says to me, "Keith, do you want to go to the Russian steam bath, the banya?" Now, I've heard great stories about the Russian steam bath, and it's alleviating. It's a great place to go away and just get away from life. And I think, you know what? I ran away from America. We run away from our apartment in the city, and now I'd be happy to run away from this family for a few minutes. So yeah, I would love to go to the Russian steam bath. And she says, "Good, Dядя Boris will take you." So the banya, it's basically a sauna. It's attached to the house, and Dядя Boris stokes it up with the fire, and we go into the changing room, and he locks the little rusty hook, and we get naked, and then he walks right up close to me, and he just points inside the sauna and says, "You will go inside now." Like he's some nudist SS officer sending me into the gas chamber. So I go willingly, and I sit down on the bench, and I'm just trying to relax and take in that hot steam. And it's really hot. It's that kind of hot that, like, you can't breathe through your nose because it's just going to burn too much. But I can't really relax because next to me, all I can hear is, "Ah! Ah!" It's like listening to a house settle next to me or something. So I'm still trying to relax a little bit, and then I hear, "Sit up!" And I get smacked in the chest. And I look over, and Boris is there with a bundle of sticks. And he's just go, and I've heard about the people hitting each other with leaves in the steam bath, but he looks like he's got a pile of barbed wire in his hand that like some devout Shiite is saving for Ashura, you know? So he tells me to sit up, and he starts beating the crap out of me. I feel like I've just been jumped by a shrubbery. But as I let it happen a little bit, it actually is pretty alleviating, it's exfoliating, it's cooling, so it feels pretty good. And I'm more than happy when he gives me the sticks and I get to beat the shit out of him for a little while. And so I'm hitting him in the back and the face and wherever I can get him. And he's like, "Harder, hit me. And so it's all going on. And I think, okay, this is the intense experience everyone talked about. But no. I sit back down on the bench and he says, "Stand up." So I stand up, and he walks right up to me like a couple of boxers about to square off. And he's standing close, like really close, like close enough that like our junk is sniffing each other like a couple of dogs. And he says to me, and he looks me in the eyes, and he says, "Turn around." Turn around. So I'm like, all right. So I turned around with my back to Boris and the bench in front of me, and he drives his palm into my back and punches me over so that I've got to brace my hands. And I swear to God, he kicks my legs apart. And I'm wondering, where do I draw the line on cultural sensitivity? Because although I know this is not going where I think it's going, I can't imagine where else it's going. And I cannot imagine this ending well for me. So I look over my shoulder, and Dede Boris is reaching into this dirty bucket of tricks he's got, and he pulls out this gnarly rope with these twisted knots in it, which to me just looks like some homemade jailhouse string of anal beads. And I don't know how to feel about the fact that my response is, I just turn back to the bench and figure, all right, I'll just see where this is going, I guess. And I kind of stand there and wait for that welcome to Kazakhstan moment. And I'm there, and I can feel his heat behind me. I can feel his toes against the outside of my ankles. And then I feel his hand on my shoulder. Quiet. And then I feel this deep, penetrating scrubbing on my back. Because he's using that rope, not even like a loofah, like it's a saw that he's trying to make his way through my back. And it starts peeling off, like burning off more like dead skin from all summer long. And it does loosen me up a bit, and it feels good. But then he starts getting in deeper and deeper. Like he's finding knots underneath my shoulders from stress points from 20 years ago when some kid pushed me off the damn slide. He's finding coagulation of muscles for every time that some girl said she could offer me more as a friend. And he's just wiping these things off of my body. And after about 10 minutes, when he finishes, I kind of want a cigarette. And I sit down on the bench, and he sits down next to me, and he just kind of laughs, and he says, "It's good, it's good, it's good." And there's a little twinkle in his eye, and it's this look, and it's this really, really sweet look, like the look on old friends' faces when you're laughing together, or the look on like your girlfriend's face when she's watching you do something you're passionate about. It's this look that, this rare look that tells you convincingly that you're home and there's nowhere else you could possibly want to be. Thanks.